All right, we are down to our final main event topic of the evening, and the reason why I brought in our steel woods expert, Mr. Ryan Savallo. It has recently been announced that Steel Woods, who is a country slash roots rock band, has announced they will stop touring. And Ryan and I talked a little bit off podcast yesterday about this. I didn't want to talk too much because I wanted to get our natural opinions here on the podcast. Let me just check our time real quick. We're doing great. Awesome. Okay. So, essentially, Steel Woods is an amazing country band slash roots rock slash Americana, um, southern rock kind of vibes as well. Really cool band. I'm just gonna kind of talk about the story here, which is from oh my god, visitathensgeorgia.com is where I got this story. The Steel Woods have captivated audiences with their powerful sound and heartfelt lyrics since their formation in 2016. Co-founded by Wes Bayless and Jason Rowdy Cope, the band has amassed over 200 million streams in their short lifespan. In 8 years, that's really, really impressive, actually. 200 million streams. Their songs Axe, Blind Lover, and Out of the Blue have been featured on Taylor Sheridan's hit TV shows Yellowstone and Tulsa King. Road warriors at heart, the Steel Woods have toured rigorously. That wasn't my mistake. It's actually written like that. Toured rigorously, building a loyal fan base brick by brick, while sharing the stage with the likes of Blackberry Smoke, Cody Johnson, Miranda Lambert, Cody Jinks, Leonard Skinner, and Dwight Yoakam, to name a few. Now, tragedy struck in 2021 when founder and creative visionary Jason Cope, otherwise known as Rowdy, passed away due to complications from diabetes. The band, however, pressed on and continued to tour, and they released their final studio album, On Your Time, in the fall of 2023. With 4 studio records behind them, Wes Bayless, who is once again the other co-founder, shared the news to their fans in March of 2024 that the Steel Woods will stop touring at the end of this year, putting an end to one of the most promising new outfits in independent roots music. And this band has been making waves. This is me talking now. This band has been making waves for years, both before and after Rowdy's unfortunate passing. And they are one of the top artists in the roots genre, especially from the independent side of music. And I know that Ryan is a huge fan of their music, covers a lot of their songs in his show. And so I thought this would be the perfect story to talk about. First of all, how do you feel about them not touring anymore, and what do you think of the reasons behind it, Ryan?
Oh man, the probably the thing that I really think of it. I mean, it's kind of I wouldn't really say it's depressing, but it's like they just I kind of felt like this was their year. I mean, my own honest opinion, and it may still be, but I went and seen them at the Louisiana grandstands here, and it was just really like a few of their songs had already kind of hit my heart. Then actually see it that they was going to be playing it for the last time, and the next time I see them, I was all like, man, it's just really hitting home. And I was emotional. I mean, I was teary eyed through a few of their songs just because I was all like, they've been through so much. But I think it's just they're doing it so pure still, and that's why I know it's from the heart. But just not anything. I mean, I feel like my own honest opinion is maybe it's a reminder of Rowdy, and it's just kind of hard to keep going. But this is just my opinion. I mean, it's kind of something that I've felt like I've read, but I don't know for sure because it's not been verbal and said that. But it's just they tried keep chugging along, and I feel like they're still doing a great job at it. But it's just like maybe whenever they see that when they go out there and see the Steelwoods, they're reminded of Rowdy, and I just feel like maybe they want to try to start a torch and start carrying it some other way, or they may just need a break. I don't know. I wished I knew because I'm real good friends with them, but that's just something that they don't know on reasoning. That just was a decision, and Wes just kind of had that's where he felt like his heart was at, and that's the biggest thing. They all just kind of, I guess you would say, they look real mutual on it. I I mean, everybody's still just like they was. Everybody's jolly. I can see a little bit of heartfelt stuff. And matter of fact, Brad Gaines, they're actually stage manager and I guess you'd say tour manager. He does all of it pretty much. He's the not all of it, but because they are the ones performing. But he's the stuff you don't see in the behind the scenes. And me and him has been real good friends and gotten real close through the years. Just me going and seeing them. I mean, I just I could have had opportunities with them, working with them, and I just chose to go my own way because of some of my own music and then some of the other stuff that I had going on. But I really love that band, and I just feel like if they did end up changing their mind, or if maybe they went a different route of doing it, I mean, I think that he would be just as much famous, if not more, for just what he's all been through, what the whole band's been through. I mean, I know they're all gonna go their own way, but I definitely would love to see eventually a reunion tour or something later on down the line, just because they think that's the right thing. Because there's just so many songs that they've wrote, that's actually, you get songs nowadays. Everybody loves the beat of them and stuff like that, but they don't have a meaning. A lot of all their songs has some kind of meaning. If you listen to it, it's almost like a story. And I mean, I've got so into their songs that I've even called my buddy that I was telling you about, their stage manager, and asked, "Hey man, does this go to this to this?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, actually this song goes to this album." And it's just like a big story, and it's crazy, just how their everything was put together, and then some of their stuff not necessarily was written out of the Bible, but it was written out of stuff. I guess you would say like that. Just I guess you'd say almost like the Ten Commandments, stuff like that. He just there's very meaningful stuff in there that you can really make your mind go a far ways and kind of read it as a story. That's why I think that so many of their fans, they've touched so many of their fans and catch them because everybody's got the story in their mind their own certain way and find some way to relate to it. And then somebody else might hear the same song, might be the guy's best friend that has that story in his mind, and then they relate a different way. But
Yep.
everybody's there relating in some way that it just brings something out into somebody. And
That's
it's
when you know good music right there for sure.
I mean, the very first time I ever heard the Steelwoods live, Wes, the lead singer and co-founder with Rowdy, was driving their tour bus because they didn't have a bus driver at the time. He come pulling up, was like, "Hey man, can y'all help me back in here?" And I was all like, "Holy crap!" First time seeing the Steelwoods, he's driving the tour bus with a 18-foot trailer on the back, triple axle trailer on the back, and he's just like pulling up in there. And then that night, I remember because they opened for Cody Jinks, and Cody Jinks is a real big name. Cody Jinks is like a brother to them, and God bless him. They just did their last show with Cody Jinks. They just put that out there this weekend. They did their last show with Cody, and but yeah, it's just they're one of them people that are kind of very family oriented, and I just they're just a meaningful type of band to me. I mean, there's a lot of bands that I love, but as far as them, they're all like a family. They're tight knit. They all seem like they're all mutual about everything. So that's what you call a band of brothers. And yeah, I pray for those guys every day. Uh, but yeah, just like Tyler Powers, the lead guitar player, he stepped right in there. He was already a good friend of Rowdy's. Rowdy was always saying, "We're gonna find you a good band. We're gonna find you a band." And then here he is. He's the lead guitar player now because of Rowdy's passing. Uh,
So,
but
Katie, if
yeah,
you have any questions for him, I definitely have some. But I'll let you go first if you have anything.
What? Okay, this is all the speculation. Everyone has their own opinion, but if that was to happen to me, like playing with somebody, like playing, being friends with somebody, and playing music with somebody, that's a whole different kind of thing. You know, like even when you like I haven't dealt with death, but like losing bandmates, for whatever reason or another, like it just doesn't feel right, like them not being there, like especially if it's a good friend of yours, which tends to be. So I mean, I've definitely experienced that on a small level, but I mean personally, like, I mean, that's the guitar player, that's who you look over to as soon as you stop singing, you know what I'm saying, like that. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to do it.
And he was also
yeah,
the
I would have. I
creative.
would have to.
he was also the creative force behind the band. Wrote most of the songs
Yeah.
prior to his passing as well. So this wasn't just the guitar player. This was the guy that was writing
No, I
the
know.
songs. You know what I mean?
But I'm saying as like the vocalist,
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah.
Like you look and it's like not him and it's the main.
He was the lead guitar player for Jamie Johnson for over a decade.
Right.
And then
right.
he decided to, tell Jamie, hey, man, we're going to go this other route. And I met this lead singer, and him and Wes, that's how close they got. They said, we're going to do this. And they did it, and then now Wes has been stout enough. There's no telling how many tears he's cried behind his glasses, playing all these songs that he wrote with Rowdy. And I'm just thinking, just my own personal thinking, whenever he goes out there and he looks at his tour boxes and he sees these Steelwoods on there, it's a reminder of Rowdy's face every time he looks at it. And so
Absolutely.
maybe and I do know that he did say that I think he's going to continue writing songs. He always will. I mean, there's no reason behind that. What he writes, but yeah, he's definitely. I think that's what it is. I mean, just a reminder. Maybe I don't think I could do it. I mean, there's like even when my dad passed away, there's stuff that I still have of his, but when I go look at it, it puts me in that depression. Not really so much a depression, but I'm like, man, I still can't believe he's gone after 8 years.
Yeah.
And how I am with my dad. So it's not like I try to block it out. I'm very verbal of who my dad is and what my last name is. But as far as me going to look at his stuff and be reminded of it every day, that'd be a different thing. You know what I'm saying? So
and that doesn't rule out, like, musicians will always be musicians. You can't just throw that bone out of your body.
Yep.
So this isn't saying that, like, all these musicians are done. It's just, it feels like if I was in that speculation, okay, it feels like we've had our run, we've done good, we lost our friend, I think it's time we close this chapter, kind of thing. Like,
I mean, me not saying anything for them or taking anything away from them, just that's what I and I will say that about them. They are very professional. They don't let a bunch of I guess you'd say paparazzi bullshit mess with them. They don't. They're not verbal about their personal life, and that's why I've just not even noted on it. I'm just gave them hugs, told them I love them, and I mean I understand. There's been several things through the years that I had to lay down that I didn't want to, but it's because of just like Wes, he's growing a family. He's got 3 kids and one on the way. Just like his song "Cutting the Grass." That's one of the songs that I cover. I love that song. And people's always like, "Oh, did you write that?" Nope, a guy from actually from Alabama and Nashville now wrote it. Wes Bayless. And they're like, "Okay, who's that?" Well, he's got the famous band called the Steelwoods. You may not know them because they're not mainstream. But, man, they are different catchers. They can catch somebody and they'll have the most loyal fans once they catch you.
Well, one thing I wanted to talk about real quick, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, Ryan, in text. Rowdy passed away in 2021 in January, and then they released an album also in 2021, which I'm assuming had Rowdy's fingerprints on it. It was called All of Your Stones. But then in 2023, this is now 2 years after Rowdy passed, they released an album, their latest album, called On Your Time. I'm going to assume, not knowing for sure, that this album was completely made without the fingerprints of Rowdy on it at all. Maybe there could have been some songs there left over. I don't know. I don't know for sure. I'm just putting that out there for our viewers. But I'm curious what kind of impact that album had on this decision. Because if you think about it, when you go through that process of creating, producing, engineering, all of those things, and your right arm is not there, you're doing all of this with just one arm now, and you're trying to make it happen. I'm wondering if there was maybe some kind of contractual thing where they had to make another album, and then when they got through with that, they were kind of like, man, you know what? This doesn't feel the same. I think we need to move on from this. And one thing I asked you last night is if that album sounded any different than the previous music. Did it? Or does it?
Yeah, it actually does because, Rowdy, if you ever went and watched them, and you can still look up some of their stuff. He's very famous for volume pedal swells and stuff like that coming in the songs. And don't get me wrong, I'm not taking nothing from Tyler Powers because he is a phenomenal lead guitar player. But it's just some of the stuff you can't tell the difference if you're not looking at him. But some stuff it's just like, man, you really can tell what's the difference here, and it's just nobody will ever be the same. Rowdy was his own person, and that's kind of how it goes. Anybody can sit there and study exact note for note, but nobody will ever hit those notes like he did because of just how he was and what pedals he had set up and different stuff he had accumulated and what he used. He just had he had two pedal boards, and he would use volume pedal on one and other effects on another. And just like Tyler, he may have all that stuff programmed in his pedal board, but he has a small pedal board compared to Rowdy, and that's just a different sound. Rowdy used, matter of fact, I've got one sitting right here behind me, exact same amp right here. Rowdy used this right here, and Amber, my wife, got this for me for my birthday a couple years ago because I was such a Rowdy fan. But it's an Egnator, and Rowdy always told me, "Hey man, if you want to get that swell sound, that's what you need to get." So nobody uses stuff like that, and everybody wants to go big, and he's a type that will use a small amp, put a mic inside the cabinet with it, pull it out and kind of face it a certain way for the gig, and stuff it all back in there at the end. But he just he had his own way. He had his own recipe on how his guitar was put together. I mean, everything was unique about him, and I just honestly think that the difference now you can tell, but you can tell that they was either trying real hard or they just got the exact same recipe Rowdy was using.
Yeah,
because they got a lot of the harmony guitar players like him and Wes used to do, like the guitar parts, it would be harmonizing the guitar is what it was. But anyway, when they would do that together, you could tell that it's got that same stuff that the last album had, and you could tell that the last album, Rowdy was really putting all of his heart and soul in it. And it was just that was a rough thing, man. They wasn't even finished with that album, and there was just so many touch-ups, which it sounds perfect, but there was stuff that he was Rowdy was also pretty much producing that album. He was right there behind the guy running the mixer the whole time because he come from a long background of some heavy music, especially like Jamie Johnson. Imagine being on some of the studio work that they've been on.
mm-hmm.
8 to 10 piece band, but just he just come from a big background, and most definitely there's a different sound for sure. Tyler, he's wonderful. He fell right in there, and I don't think he could do it. I don't think they would have found anybody better, but definitely just Rowdy had so much he could just, I don't know, just his moves and stuff, the way he just would play. I mean, you could just tell he felt everything, and you could also read him if something wasn't right. I seen when they was a couple of new drummers, and I could see him, the way he would read them. He was all like, "Man, this is not right." So,
and people out there that are fans of music, just casual fans, like the three of us are not casual fans. We are much further than casual fans of music. But if you are a casual fan of music, you probably don't realize how intimate it is when you're in the studio trying to take your creations and put them into a produced, polished up song. It's such an intimate thing. And I'm not even a musician or an artist, but I've seen that. I've been in the studio with Kadie. I've been in the studio with a lot of other artists. I see the intimacy that is in there between an artist and their song and how important that is. So I'm very curious, and we may never know, but I'm curious if that intimate setting with that last record, the 2023 one, just felt hollow without Rowdy there, and then putting the Steel Woods name on that record maybe just felt like it just didn't feel right, especially to Wes. And perhaps that's what they need to do. Maybe when Rowdy first passed away, it was kind of a the show must go on mentality. But then when you get into the studio a couple of years later with the first post Rowdy record, that whole
Yeah.
thing can get flipped on its side just based on that intimacy level. And honestly, not just sound based, but just the presence of that person not being there anymore can just change the entire outlook. And then you're slapping the same name on it, and maybe you just don't feel like that's right. And maybe that the show must go on mentality ends at that point.
Yeah.
And
That's kind of what I guess you'd say, emotionally read from it. But I could just, yeah, whenever everything first unfolded, whenever they, so the first time they played in the Caverns, me and Amber went to see them at the Caverns, and that's in Tennessee. Well, it's actually a music venue that's down in the Caverns.
yeah,
We
it's
went,
amazing. Mm-hmm.
and it was just an amazing show, and Rowdy was there. Well, then the very next time they were supposed to play there, we already had got set up to go and everything, and then they ended up canceling it because of Rowdy's death. And it was, I mean, I understand that was a reason for it, for sure.
Absolutely, of course.
Had a group to figure out what they was going to do, and I think the only reason why they kept going is because of Tyler being such a good friend of Rowdy's and actually playing on the stage with the band a couple of times. And Rowdy had health issues back in the past, which that's kind of part of diabetes, but either way, he had Tyler fill in for him for several dates on the tour, and that was just kind of why I think a lot of the fans just was like he's already part of the family, and they've accepted it. But as far as all of them, like you said, wanting to keep going, I think that most probably Wes being pretty much the co-founder and now the founder of the new album, but it's just like you said, I feel like he thinks that it's just want to keep going on. It will be just like two people that's the main people of the band and the two original members, and then one of them's really gone. I mean, you just kind of continue on like Wes Bayless and like me, Ryan Savallo and Lost Rebels. I mean, you keep carrying your name and know people that you have, but like an old band that I was in, I had to take a step back if somebody was gone or something happened, and that's I can my point of view would be completely different because I didn't lose anybody. But with Wes losing somebody like his brother, I mean, they used to go in the woods and write songs. That's how they got so into it. And it was just like they would come back with a masterpiece. And I'm sure Wes has been a bunch of heartache trying to get just songs out. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe not much. He's very a talented guy, but I just
and
feel like
I
the
feel
torch
like
is kind of
I feel like the
passed by.
wording is everything too. Like everywhere that I've seen the story, the wording they're using is the band is being disbanded. And that's a different word than discontinued, right? Because if you say discontinued, that gives you the idea that they're just going to change the name. The band name is being discontinued, but the wording I'm seeing everywhere is disbanded, and that usually means the band is breaking up. The band members are going their separate ways. So I'm
Yeah,
curious what's next for not just Wes, but the rest of the guys too. Perhaps
yeah,
they, like Katie said, you can't when you're a creative person, you can't just turn that passion off. It doesn't work. So I'm curious where they go next. What do you think's going to happen next for these guys, Ryan?
I mean, I know that I kind of feel like I have a lot of wishful thinking. Like kind of their all their albums is like a story, and it kind of makes me think like it's they're going to follow through with the story and then change the name. But that's just me, kind of a pipe dream. But it would be so awesome if they did that. It was just like something else, but it was continued doing with some of their songs. But I mean, I'm sure that all the stuff that they've wrote, I'm still going to be not actually covering it, but still singing them in some way if he continues with music. But I'm kind of wondering also, and that's just because we've been distant the past 6 months, and I don't get to talk to him like I used to. Um, it's just I feel like maybe he may take a break from music altogether for a while. I don't really know, and I wish I knew. And that's what that I guess that will be kind of what hurts the most because all them guys have been doing it for a living. They've been making it. They've been making it happen, and then now they're just going to happen to just go their own ways, and then I guess see what happens now. Which I feel like some of them's going to end up musically somewhere else because, like you said, they're just gonna, I guess you'd say, dismember or whatever you want to say. Uh, but I just feel like maybe, luckily, hopefully, that all the guys will go to a good band because the main three guys that I know is just the bass player Johnny and the lead guitar player now Tyler, and then Wes. The other guys are new to me. They've got a drummer and a steel guitar player now, but it's not the original members like on some of the albums. And just been people. I'm kind of wondering if the drummers that they had just couldn't handle it too whenever Rowdy left. I mean, they've had two drummers now since Rowdy was there, and that
Yep.
the last they had Steven and the drummer before that both got to play with Rowdy, so it's kind of like I don't know. It's just one of. I really wish I could answer that. I don't. I mean, I wished I knew, but it's kind of me and my sister and a few friends already got our tickets for the Ryman College or the Ryman Auditorium, and that's over in Tennessee as well. And I've always wanted to go there. And then whenever I talked to Wes whenever I was at the Louisiana grandstands, and he said, "Yeah, man." He said, "Y'all get tickets to the Ryman?" I said, "Yeah, we did." And he was like, "Man, that's gonna be a good one." I was like, "Yeah, I know it is. It's y'all's very last show." I said, "There's tears and happiness and everything else."
So the Ryman is amazing. You're going to love it there. As a country music fan, you are absolutely going to love it there. It's just an amazing venue. Man, try to get there early and bust out a song, man. Just a cappella. You'll die at the acoustics in there, bro.
Right.
Oh man, it's amazing in there. But Steel Woods, like this whole story here is a reason why I enjoy podcasting and interviewing, because I like to know the story behind stuff like this, and telling the story is really important. So what we're going to do, Katie and I are not going anywhere, so what we'll do is once we find out more from the Steel Woods and Wes Bayless, we will have Ryan back on and we will talk about what the next step is for the Steel Woods players once they announce what's going to happen, and that way we can keep our viewers and listeners updated on that as well. Whatever they decide, what I do know is the Steel Woods has been making absolute noise, no pun intended, for a while. And as an independent artist in the world of roots music, which is essentially just traditional country with a little bit of rock and roll mixed in, that's my opinion on what roots is. In the world of roots music, as an independent artist, it's really hard to get noticed. People like Cody Jinks have done a good job at it. There are others as well, obviously. There's a lot of others as well.
Was in bars for 20 years before he ever. That's how hard he had to work. I mean,
you talking about Cody, right?
Yeah, Cody Jinks. He put his mind to it. He put his head down, ass up, working, and he just kept on. And he didn't ever take no for an answer. Every time somebody tried to knock him down, he'd just go to the next place. It wasn't nothing like it. He took it as a knockdown. And yeah, man, we used to be real close to Cody, and he's just got so much stuff going on. But I mean, there's times that we could call him on the phone.
Uber busy. Yeah, he's he's definitely the poster child for making it big right now for roots rock artists. And man, like I was saying, it's just really hard to get noticed. The Steel Woods have done a good job of that, and it's because of their sound. It's because of the lyrics, and it saddens me to see a band break up. And I hope that what they cultivated up until now can exist post Steel Woods, and I hope that they can all be successful.
I don't keep playing it. I'm going to keep covering it. So
there you go.